Now, the next chapter which we are going to discuss is the chapter of offenses and penalties. Listen, there is no linking for the chapter of offenses and penalties which you can take separately. But any law to be managed properly, for every offense there has to be a penalty. Otherwise, people will not follow the law properly. Are we clear? And hence, in our GST law also, they have gone ahead and made provision that whenever somebody violates the provisions, penalty should be charged. Are we clear, everyone? And hence, we are going to learn offenses and penalties. In my opinion, A graded exam में 6 mark question should come. Everyone over here now, offenses and penalties. To be very frank, if you see, it starts with section number 122, goes up to section number 138. Section number 122 up to section number 138. But we'll be learning only the most important sections which are there. Let's go ahead and get it started, everyone. Now, the first section which comes over here is section number 122. People, section number 122 has section number 121, section number 121A, section number 122B, 121B, and section number 122, and section number 122 subsection 3. Now, section number 122 from exam point of view, you can take it to be B graded. One small point they can go ahead and ask. Everyone over here now, listen. Section number 121 goes ahead and says the circumstances for levying of penalty on a taxable person. What are the circumstances when penalty will be levied on a taxable person? And the penalty will be how much, everyone? 10,000 or the tax amount, whichever is higher. Now here in section number 121, there are approximately 21 offenses which are there for which the penalty is 10,000 or the tax amount, whichever is higher. But 21, how to remember, sir, all the 21 offenses? So I've gone ahead and made one small mnemonic saying this officer went ahead and told, oh, I have got gastric. Take everyone, gastric is what? O for officer over here. If officer related, you go ahead and do any offense. Officer ko you obstruct. Officer came, you left your dog behind him. You obstructed the officer. Or prevent the officer from discharging his duty. Officer was doing his duty, but you are not letting him do his duty. Then remember, you will be penalized 10,000 rupees, which is there. Or the tax amount, whichever is higher. Then goods, services, or both. In good G for goods, services, or both related offense. Supplying without invoice, issuing an incorrect invoice or false invoice, issuing invoice without supply in violation of the provision of the act or rules, or you supply what, or transport or store goods which are liable for confiscation. Then remember, the amount will be 10,000 or the amount of tax, whichever is higher. Accounts related, GA, accounts related, whatever wrongdoings if you do. Sir, what is the accounts related? You fail to keep the accounts, maintain or retain the books of account. You have to retain it for 72 months. You did not do it. Or any other document you produce might be fail to keep or maintain or retain books of accounts and any other document, or whenever the officer is asking for it, you produce fake document, then also there is a penalty which is there. I hope you guys already know the penalty now, 10,000 or the tax amount, whichever is higher. The next is as for suppressing. If you are suppressing your turnover, you are not showing your turnover, then also penalty is 10,000 or 10%, whichever is higher. The next one over here is T for TDS or TCS related. People, you remember TDS and TCS chapter? If you fail to deduct or you fail to collect TCS, or you deducted or collected less, or after deducting you fail to pay it to the government, always remember 10% or 10,000, whichever is higher. T for tempers or destroy. If you destroy or temper evidences, documents, disposed of or tempered, destroyed, tempered, detained, seized or attached goods, then also they are going ahead and telling tempering ka case mein also 10% or 10,000, whichever is higher. Then T for transport. If you are transporting any taxable goods without the cover of a specified document, you don't have the document, only e-way bill and tax invoice, and you are transporting the goods, caught, then you'll have to pay penalty 10% or 10,000, whichever is higher. Registration related. You failed to obtain the registration or you furnish false information while applying for registration, or use another person's registration and you are supplying, then also you will be penalized. The next is refund related. If you fraudulently obtain a refund, then refund the amount, they will take it back from you, plus they will charge you interest also, and penalty will be how much? 10%, sorry, 10,000 or the tax amount, whichever is higher. The next is I for ITC related. ITC related, if you take or utilize without receipt of goods, either fully or partially. See, Baba, you are supplying without, or you are issuing invoice without supply. You issued. I went ahead and took ITC without going ahead and receiving the goods. For me also there is a penalty, and that is what they are telling over here. If you take or utilize without actually receiving the goods, or you take or utilize in contravention of the act or rules. Section number 16 told you the condition to take the ITC, you violated section number 16, then also there is a penalty of 10%, not 10,000 or the tax amount, the ITC which you took, whichever is higher. The next is ISD related. If ISD goes ahead and distributes ITC in contravention of the act or rule, then ISD, in the ISD chapter only I told you, ISD pay penalty is 10,000 or the amount of tax, whichever is higher. I for information and document which are called by the officer. Officer told you to give some information. You failed to furnish the document, or you furnish false information or document, then also you will be liable for a penalty. C for you collect amount as tax, but fail to pay the same to the government greater than 3 months from the due date. Sir, first of all, you collect amount as tax. Tax has been collected. From the due date, you did not pay it within how much time, everyone? 3 months from the due date, more than 3 months from the due date, then also you'll be liable for a penalty. Sir, you collect any amount in contravention of this act, means you collected an amount, not tax. You collected any amount saying it's a tax. You collected, it should be immediately paid to the government. If you don't pay, they are telling, but fail to pay it to the government greater than 3 months from due date, you will be liable for a penalty. Remember, 10,000 or the tax which is involved, whichever is higher. Are we all clear till here, everyone? The next one over here. Section number 122(1)(a). Section number 122(1)(a) basically was imposed on those people who are fraudsters. Basically, supposingly, I went ahead and took the registration in the name of my employee. And what I am going ahead and doing, no, in the name of my employee, I am issuing bogus invoices. And I made crores of profit. When the officer will come and catch, he will catch my employee because the registration is in the name of my employee. So government went ahead and told anyone who is retaining the benefit, who is the mastermind behind it. The mastermind is me. I will be penalized under section number 122(1)(a). It says any person who retains the benefit of a transaction covered under clause 1, 2, 7 and 9 of subsection 1. Sir, how will we find out 1, 2, 7 and 9? Everyone see. In this, wherever I put underline, no, 4 underlines are there. Those 4 underlines are 1, 2, 7 and 9. Which are the 4 underlines here? Supplying without invoice, or with invoice without supply, or ITC taken on the basis of bogus invoice, without receiving the goods you took the ITC, or ISD takes or distribute ITC in contravention. These 4 ke liye they are going ahead and telling, in these 4 transactions, whoever retains the benefit of the transaction and at whose instance the transaction is conducted, who is the mastermind behind the transaction, remember, shall be liable for a penalty of amount equivalent to the tax evaded, ITC availed or ITC passed on. People, if I am a mastermind and I went ahead and made 100 crore from that fraud, 100 crore is the amount which you have to pay, plus penalty also will be 100 crore which you have to go ahead and pay. The amount of fraud which you have done, the amount of tax evaded, the ITC which you have passed on, or the ITC which you have availed. I bought bogus invoice and I took the ITC. Remember one thing, in that scenario also, they are going ahead and telling you will be liable for a penalty. The next one over here is 122(1)(b) over here. Circumstances for levy of penalty on a e-commerce operator. People, you remember, e-commerce operator can now allow unregistered people to supply, but e-commerce should make sure that those people are enrolled. Those people are enrolled, correct everyone? And you should not allow them to make interstate supply, etc. If e-commerce operator fails to do it, remember, circumstances for levying of penalty on e-commerce operator, penalty of 10,000 or the tax amount had such supply been done by a registered person other than composition dealer, whichever is higher. See here, an e-commerce who allows supply through it by a unregistered person other than person exempted from registration by notification. You should not allow unregistered persons to supply. But who are the unregistered person who are allowed to supply? Supplier of service up to 20 lakh, 10 lakh, supplier of goods 40, 20 or 10. But those suppliers should not do interstate supply. Those suppliers should take enrollment. What if the e-commerce operator violates the condition? He shall be liable for a penalty, 10,000 or the tax amount, whichever is higher. Or if he allows an interstate supply of goods or service by a person not eligible to make interstate supply, or fails to furnish the correct detail in GSTR 8. People, all the TCS ka detail, he has to furnish in GSTR 8. If he does not furnish the detail in GSTR 8 correctly, then also he shall be liable to pay a penalty, 10,000 or the tax amount, whichever is higher. Now, supposingly, through the e-commerce operator, one composition dealer was supplying. Composition dealer should pay what? 1%. So 10,000 or 1%, which is higher. No, they are telling, assume as if the supply had been made by a registered person other than composition. The supply pay, how much would have been the tax? 18%, no. So 10,000 or 18%, whichever is higher. Is my point clear to all? Let's go ahead. The next one over here is section number 122, circumstances for levying of penalty on registered person. People, tell me one thing. The first one was when penalty will be levied on taxable person. A taxable person is a person who is registered or liable to be registered. Then the second was on the masterminds. Take everyone, fraud people. On third one was on whom everyone? E-commerce operator. And the next one over here is on registered person. Now this penalty which is there, no, this penalty actually they had gone ahead and introduced with a thought that it will be charged. But this penalty never gets charged. Why? You know, because this penalty which is there is already charged when demand and recovery may, section number 73 and 74 may, we already go ahead and charge this penalty. So section number 122 ka penalty does not come. It was introduced, but actually it does not come because officer charges this penalty when he charges section number 73 and 74 may penalty. See, registered person supplying goods services on which tax is not paid, short paid, erroneously refunded, ITC wrongly availed or utilized. If tax is not paid, short paid, erroneous refund is taken, he will give you a demand order. So when he gives you the demand order under 73 and 74, the penalty is already charged under section number 73 and 74. And when 73 and 74 may penalty is already charged, second time penalty will not be charged under section number 122. And hence, this section is actually, you will not see the applicability in practical life. Everyone here, the reason is, they are telling if it's fraud, willful misstatement or suppression, it will be 10,000 or tax due, whichever is higher. If it is other than fraud, willful misstatement or suppression, 10,000 or 10% of the tax due, whichever is higher. I think you are able to connect to this. That's we already learned in 73 and 74. The next one is section number 123 over here. Section number 123 says circumstances for levying of penalty on any person, whether you are registered, not registered, any person. It says penalty up to 25,000. Number one, there are 5 offences they went ahead and found out, and they are telling for these 5 offences, the penalty can be charged on any person. Everyone over here. Anyone who aids or abates any offences specified in section number 121. People, if you are helping anyone in doing these offences which are told under section number 121, supposingly, I am supplying without invoice. There is one of my friend who is helping me. Remember one thing, anyone who aids or abates the offences under section number 121. For an example, I am supplying without invoice. You told you will buy without invoice. You are also helping me in doing the offence. On you also penalty can be up to 25,000. Then anyone who deals in any way with goods he knows or has reason to believe are liable to be confiscated. Tax unpaid goods may, if you are dealing, you will also be liable for a penalty. The next one, receives or is concerned with supply of or deals with supply of service which he has no reason to believe are in contravention. If you are receiving any supply which you know are in contravention, tax is not paid, etc., then also you will be liable for a penalty. Officer called you for a summon, you did not go. Remember, section number 70 gives the officer the power. Inspection, search, seizure, we learned. Officer has the power to summon. Officer summoned you, you did not go. Then also you will be liable for a penalty. Fails to issue invoice or account for the invoice. You are unregistered person, but at least you will give commercial invoice whenever you are selling. You are not doing accounting only. They are going ahead and telling you also will be liable for a penalty up to 25,000. Remember, these penalties which we learn are under CGST Act, same amount of penalty under SGST Act. The next one is section number 123. Section number 123 goes ahead and says, if you fail to furnish information return, Baba, if you fail to furnish what? Information return, the penalty is 100 rupees per day up to a maximum of 5,000 rupees. The next is section number 124. If you fail to furnish statistics, if you fail to furnish statistics, then also you will be fined up to 10,000 rupees. And sir, after being fined also, if you still don't go ahead and file, they are telling in case of continuing offense, 100 rupees per day up to a maximum of 25,000. Sir, any act, people always remember, this is very important. This is important. Section number 122 is important. Section 125 is important. What is section number 125 telling? Any offense, any person doing any contravention of any provision of the act or rules, no penalty is separately provided. Remember, if any provision ke liye penalty is not provided anywhere, that will be penalized under section number 25,000. You did something which is not told anywhere, for which penalty is not told anywhere, then remember the penalty will be up to 25,000 rupees. Now, section number 126 is important from exam point of view. Everyone listen now. Remember, section number 126 goes ahead and talks about general discipline related to penalty. General discipline means like how demand order ke liye general provisions were there. That way, in whenever the officer is passing a penalty order, the officer should also go ahead and take care of some general things. Those general things are told over here. General discipline relating to penalty. No penalty for minor breach. Baba, always remember, whenever it's a small minor breach, if officer wants, he will not charge a penalty. What is minor breach? Where the tax involved is less than 5,000. So, sir, no penalty for minor breach of tax regulation or procedural requirement. Remember, any tax regulation or procedural requirement ka minor breach, where the amount of, what is minor? Where the amount of tax is less than 5,000. There is one question, if I'm not wrong, Manglesh or some question is there on this which have been asked in the exam, which will be there in your book. Please do that and go. Section number 126 ka one question is there which you must do. Must do. If you do this question and go, exam mein if the question comes, you will be able to attempt. Everyone over here now. Sir, no penalty for minor breach of what? Tax regulation or procedural requirement, and in particular any omission. People, first of all, if it's a minor breach, no penalty. Minor breach means less than 5,000. And in particular, any omission or mistake in documentation which is easily rectifiable. If you have done any mistake in documentation which is easily rectifiable means which is apparent on the face and made without any fraudulent intention or gross negligence. It should be done without any fraudulent intention or gross negligence. Then officer can go ahead and say, okay, fine, no problem. This error is apparent on the face and it's not by your gross negligence, no problem. We'll not go ahead and charge any penalty. The next one, penalty shall depend on the fact and circumstance of each case, and it will be commensurate with the degree and severity of the breach. People listen, penalty up to 25,000, right? The more up to means the more the severe offense, the more severe penalty. What they are trying to tell is penalty shall depend on the fact and circumstance of each case. The more severe offense, the more severe will be the penalty. No penalty without giving opportunity of being heard. Speaking order. Always whenever they pass a penalty order, they will write the fact, they will write the section under which you are being penalized. If they pass an order without writing the section, it will be always invalid order. Remember, officer must specify the nature of the breach and the applicable law, regulation or procedure. Voluntary disclosure may be considered as a mitigating factor while quantifying a penalty. Supposingly, you went and told the officer, sir, I went ahead and did this kind of thing. My mistake, sir. I am so sorry. Then he may consider that and say, okay, fine, I will not charge you penalty. It is up to the officer. You can't say, I told myself, how can you penalize? No, it is up to the officer. This section shall not apply where the penalty is a fixed sum or a fixed percentage. For an example, over here, it is told penalty will be 10,000. You are telling, sir, please take little less. No, take 9,500. Please take 8,000. You can't do all those things. Remember, this section will not be applicable wherever the penalty is a fixed percentage. Fixed percentage in all this scenario, 10,000. There will be no bargaining and all. But if the penalty is up to, then this section will be applicable. The more severe the offense, the more severe the penalty. Less severe offense, you can say, sir, I have disclosed myself, charge little less. No, then he will charge little less. Is my point clear to all? Let's go ahead. And now, the most important section of all in the chapter, section number 129. Everyone over here now. See, this section has section number 122 to 138. What I have written in the chart is only the sections which are the most important section from which the exam may generally questions come. Everyone, section number 129, detention or seizure and release of goods in transit. Everyone over here, you must do questions on offences and penalties chapter. You must do. Everyone here. You were going on the way. You were going on the way. Officer stopped you. Truck, stop. He told, show me the invoice, show me the e-way bill. You don't have the invoice, you don't have the e-way bill. Or invoice and e-way bill is not matching. What will happen? He will now detain you. First he will detain. Hey, come in the side. Detention. Then he will seize your goods. Now, if you want the goods to be released, you have to pay penalty. And remember, section number 129 is applicable only when the goods are in transit, on the road. Can I go ahead, everyone? Now listen. Sir, I was being detained and my goods were being seized. Now I want the goods to be released. How much penalty should I pay? People, tax to you have to pay. Penalty also has to be paid. This is the most important part. Goods and conveyance after detention or seizure shall be released if the owner comes forward. If the owner does not come forward, I told I will not come and talk to the officer, right? Transporter, you only talk. If I come, my reputation will go. I will not come. If I don't go, he will get angry and charge more. But if I go, the penalty will be little less. It says, if the owner comes forward, the penalty shall be 200% of the tax payable. How much percent? 200%. First, so you have to pay tax. Plus tax card, 200% amount you have to go ahead and pay. Sir, if it is exempted goods, sir, exempted goods pay to tax zero. Zero ka 200% is zero. Baba, they went ahead and told penalty will be 2% of the value of the goods or 25,000, whichever is lower. Remember, this we are talking under CGST Act. Similar amount payable under SGST Act. If it is IGST Act, it is CGST and SGST put together. You know, this point which I told, a student will never understand who has not done question answer. But a student who has done question answer, he would have immediately understood what sir is trying to tell. So I am telling you, you know, when a student asks me a doubt, no, the first thing I tell the student, if I understand the doubt ka quality only, I will come to know whether the student is practicing or not. And trust me, if a student is practicing question answer, he will not have any useless kind of doubts. Because those students would have known what is there, how it will be there. Can I go ahead, everyone? Now. Sir, so if the owner comes forward, it will always be what? 200% of the tax or 200% of the tax amount which is there. But sir, if the owner does not come forward, now it says if the owner does not come forward, penalty will be higher of what? 50% of the value of the goods or 200% of the tax payable. See, here it was only 200%. Here it is 200% or 50%, whichever is higher. 50% of the value of the goods. And sir, if it is exempted goods, penalty will be 5% of the value of the goods or 25,000, whichever is lower. Remember, here it is lower. Can I go ahead, everyone? People, owner comes forward, 200% of the tax payable. ठीक है, exempted goods 2% or 25,000, whichever is lower. If owner does not come forward, 50% of the value of the goods or 200% of the tax, whichever is higher. Exempted goods, 5% or 25,000, whichever is lower. Next one, everyone, proper officer detaining or seizing the goods or conveyance will issue a show cause notice within 7 days of the detention or seizure specifying the penalty, and he will pass an order within 7 days from the date of the notice. First of all, whenever your truck is being stopped and your goods are being seized, he will issue an order within how many days? 7 days. And then within the next 7 days, he'll pass the penalty order. And you know what? Against this penalty order, if you want to go for an appeal, you have to pay 25% of the amount as pre-deposit. Arey, do you remember? I told you over there. Next. Sir, penalty paid, proceedings will be deemed to be concluded. If not paid within how many days? 15 days of the order. Officer passed the order. If you don't pay within how many days? 15 days, goods or conveyance will be sold. Remember, if supposingly the truck was not mine, the goods were mine, I am not releasing the truck, but the person whose truck it is, he wants his truck to be released. Always remember, whether your truck or any other person ka truck, if truck you want to release, see, till here we were learning about the goods to be released. Now truck, if you want it, conveyance can be released on the payment of 1 lakh rupees or the penalty, whichever penalty we calculated here, whichever is less. Can I go ahead, everyone? Next. Sir, period of 15 days. Supposingly, they gave you 15 days to pay the penalty, right, everyone? They gave you how many days ka time? 15 days. Mangoes are there. Mangoes will become seed after 15 days. So they are going ahead and telling, if goods are perishable goods or hazardous goods likely to depreciate with time, then this 15 days ka time will be there? No. This will be reduced. The next circular, which is there over here, this circular just goes ahead and says, supposingly you are going on the way and the truck is being caught. Invoice is there, e-way bill is not there, for an example. Then your goods will be detained, you will be detained and goods will be seized. Now who is the owner? Either the consignor or the consignee will be deemed as the owner. It says if invoice is there, then either the consignor or consignee should be deemed as the owner. I told I will send the goods to you. Then I am the owner. The goods reach you, then you become the owner. Is my point clear? You told you will come collect and go. You are the owner. You will be penalized. But sir, if good invoice is not there, then proper officer will go ahead and determine who should be declared as the owner. Total bakwas. Please come to the next page, everyone. See, here we went ahead and understood about detention. First, your truck was put on the side, then they seized your goods, and now you want to release the goods. People, release the goods. Will you remember? Yes. Conveyance to release 1 lakh or the tax or the penalty amount, whichever is lower. Which penalty amount? Whichever you determined here. If owner came forward, owner did not come forward, whichever amount. Everyone over here now. Section number 130 again is a good section from exam point of view, but not A graded. It's a B graded one. After section number 129, if they want to ask something, they can ask section number 130. Section number 130 says confiscation of goods, conveyance and levying of penalty. Where any person supplies or receives goods in contravention of the act or rules with an intent to evade tax. Confiscation means what, everyone? Ownership will be transferred to the government. If you do these 5 things, if you do this 5 things, your goods ka ownership will be transferred to the government. Number 1, supplies or receives goods in contravention of the act or rules with an intent to evade tax, does not account for the goods which is liable to pay the tax, supplies any goods liable to tax without having applied for registration, contravenes any provision of the act with intent to evade tax, or uses any conveyance as means of transportation for carriage of goods in contravention of the act or rules. Now listen, these penalties which were there, no, this penalty was talking about on the way ka penalty. This is not about on the way penalty. Is my point clear till here? So these 5 points they are going in and telling what? Your goods will be liable for confiscation. Means the ownership also will be taken over by the government. Sir, please don't confiscate my goods. You have to pay a penalty. Everyone over here. So remember the 5 cases when your goods can be confiscated, means government can take over the ownership of your goods. And if you don't want your goods to be confiscated, you have to pay a penalty. Everyone over here. It says Whenever you use any conveyance as a means of transportation of goods in contravention of the act, unless the owner of the conveyance proves that it was so used without his knowledge or connivance. Means, sir, supposingly, my premises, my officer came and told, Ramesh, this truck you are using for going ahead and doing all wrong thing, we will confiscate this truck. Basically, they are trying to tell over here. Now, sir, but supposingly, I used your truck for doing wrong thing, but you did not know about it only. If you prove that, sir, I did not know about it, then your truck will not be confiscated. Otherwise, the truck will be confiscated. Everyone over here. Now, whenever confiscation will happen, confiscation means government is going to take over your goods or the truck. Always remember, all the goods and conveyance will be liable for confiscation. Government can take over the goods. Government can take over the truck. Government can't take over you. Hey, I will put one neck, one rope, and now you are mine. It can't do. So for you, government will levy a penalty under section number 122. Can I go ahead, everyone? So for you, there is a penalty. For the goods and conveyance, it is confiscated. Can I go ahead, everyone? And if you don't want goods and conveyance to be confiscated, you have to go ahead and pay a fine. Fine in lieu of confiscation. It is called what, everyone? Fine in lieu of confiscation means, sir, please don't take over my goods. Please don't take over my conveyance. I will pay the amount. And it is told over here, fine as the proper officer thinks fit. He will tell, give me a blank check. Then no, not how. There is a maximum limit and minimum limit which is there. Everyone over here, whatever the officer thinks fine, he will go ahead and tell you to pay. But the maximum fine can be the market value of the confiscated goods minus the GST. Whatever is the market value of the goods minus the GST. He'll tell, see, sir, now the goods are mine only. You want to take it, pay me the market price minus the GST. Because GST anyways, they will recover from you. Tax. We are talking about penalty. So they are telling, whatever is the market price minus the GST, you pay it to us, we will leave your goods. Minimum fine will be minimum fine plus the penalty which is imposed on the person. Minimum should be greater than equal to penalty equal to 100% of the tax payable on such goods. Minimum, they will go ahead and charge you how much? 100% of the tax payable on such goods. Maximum can be what, everyone? The market price of the goods minus the GST. Sir, in case of conveyance, owner shall be given an option to pay a fine equal to the GST on such goods. Everyone over here now. What are they trying to tell? They are trying to tell over here, if you are supposingly you are the owner of the conveyance. You came and told me, sir, this was my conveyance, sir. Ramesh was using it without my knowledge, sir. If you prove, then no problem. But if you could not prove, you will also be, because you don't want your conveyance to be confiscated, you have to go ahead and pay whatever is the GST payable on such goods. It means, you know what, department is taking from me the market price, from you the GST. Total amount came. Can I go ahead, everyone? Market price minus GST, I will pay. You will pay what? The GST. Next. Confiscation order of the goods, conveyance and penalty shall be issued after giving opportunity of being heard. Now, once the goods are confiscated and the conveyance which is confiscated, it will be disposed of after giving you how much time, everyone? 3 months. Once the confiscation order is passed, if you pay the fine, they will give your goods, they will give your conveyance. If you don't pay, after 3 months, they will go ahead and sell it. 133 is your reading category. You can just read at home, not very important. Everyone over here now. 138, I want to go ahead and read. 138. Okay, 133 also I'll tell. What is the problem? Here, 133. Liability of the officer and certain other officer. You know, GST ka officers are there. What if GST officer disclose my information in the market? My sales ka information they are disclosing in the market. GST officer should not disclose your information. You are filing your return. Anybody who is seeing your return, the GST officer, etc., should not disclose your return in the market. If they do, they will also be liable. See, if liability of the officer, if they willfully disclose any information content, then they will be jailed up to 6 months or fine of rupees 25,000 or both. Now, sir, section number 132. 138, I will come. First, you learn 132. Students, or sir, 132, 132. Okay, 132. Here. See, 122 and all the other section till now, we're talking about penalty. Now we are not talking penalty. Now we are talking jail. You will be sent to jail. Punishment. Punishment for certain offenses. Everyone listen carefully. They have gone ahead and told section number 132 1 में A, B, C, D, E, F, G, G is omitted now, H, I, J and K is omitted and the L1 over here. ठीक है? Now listen. If whoever commits or causes to commit or retain the benefit arising out of this transaction, they are telling whoever is going ahead and doing these offenses or whoever is taking the benefit out of this transaction, they will be sent to jail. They are telling if you supply without invoice, everyone, or issuing invoice without supply, or availing the ITC without the invoice, or fraudulently avail the ITC, if you collect an amount as tax and you fail to pay it to the government greater than 3 months from the due date, or you collect tax or fraudulently obtain refund and the offense is not covered in A to D, or you falsify or substitute financial record, produce fake accounts, produce fake document, or furnish false information to evade tax, or you acquire possession of, or you are concerned in transporting, removing, depositing, keeping, concealing, supplying, purchasing, or any manner, if you deal with any goods you know are liable to be confiscated, or you receive or supply, concerned in supplying of, or you deal in goods and service you know are in, you have reason to believe are in contravention, or else says if anyone is helping anyone in doing all the above offenses. Remember, if anyone is doing it or attempts to commit, if you attempt to do it, or abet means if you are helping someone in doing the above offenses. People, you did the above offenses, you are helping someone in doing it, or you attempt to do it also, you will be penalized. Not penalized, you will be sent to jail. And now remember this thing. Tax amount and punishment. If it is more than 5 crore, up to 5 years. If the amount of tax involved in the crime is how much? More than 5 crore, then you will go to jail up to 5 years plus fine, and minimum jail is how much, everyone? 6 months. If it is amount is more than 2 crore, up to 5 crore, then 3 years plus fine, and minimum jail is how much, everyone? 6 months. Now listen. Third one is only applicable in case of bogus invoice. It means all these offenses may you will be sent to jail only if the amount is more than 2 crore. But sir, in case of clause B wala offense, what is clause B, everyone? Bogus invoice, issuing invoice without supplying. Bogus invoice. Government says bogus invoice, I am very angry. If you do bogus invoice ka case, more than 1 crore, up to 2 crore if the tax amount is involved, then also you will go to jail up to 1 year plus fine, and minimum jail will be 6 months. Then they went ahead and told if you commit or abates the commissioning of an offense in clause F, if you falsify or substitute financial record, or you produce fake accounts, or you produce fake document, or you falsify information to evade tax. Remember, in this case, no, they will not see the amount. See, in F wala point, they are telling we will not see the amount. Even if it's a very small amount, we will send you to jail up to 6 months, or fine, or both. And sir, if the amount is more than 2 crore, then baba 3 years. If the amount is more than 5 crore, then 5 years. Is my point clear to all? People, tell me one thing. All the offenses, you will go to jail when? Only when the amount is more than 2 crore and when the amount is more than 5 crore. Bogus invoice, 1 crore, 2 crore, 5 crore, all clauses applicable. Falsifying financial record, any amount, you will be sent to jail minimum 6 months. But if the amount is more than 2 crore, up to 2 crore, then here. If it is more than 2 crore, up to 3 years, more than 5 crore, then up to 5 years. Everyone over here, sir, if I go ahead and do the above offenses subsequently means you have become habituated to doing all these offenses. Then they are going ahead and telling if subsequently you do the offense under section number 132, any offense, any amount, the jail will be up to 5 years plus fine, and minimum jail will be 6 months. I like this section number 132. Please read it and go. 129, 132 are very, very important. Now, last attempt, if I'm not wrong, they had gone ahead and asked section number 138. What is compounding? Sir, please don't sell me to jail. My reputation will go waste. Sir, please, I will go ahead and pay money. Okay, honey, pay money. We will leave you. And that is what is being told over here. Compounding of offense. Pay money and we will let you go. Any offense before or after institution of the prosecution means before the prosecution has started or even after the prosecution proceedings have started. What do you mean by prosecution proceeding? Commissioner will sanction one letter saying take him to jail. Even before the commissioner has given that letter or after the commissioner has given that letter. Remember, prosecution can be compounded. Remember this. And what are the cases? No compounding. Please remember this 4 point. When will compounding not be given? When will compounding not be given? What are the cases compounding will not be given? Important from exam point of view. A person who has been allowed compounding with respect to offense under 132(1)(a) to F, G is deleted, so H, I and L. Remember one thing, if you are a person who has done all these offenses, people here, A to F, H, I and L. Simple, no? If you have done these offenses, not attempts to commit, if you have done these offenses, people, these are the cases only when one person will go to jail. So they are telling if you have been compounding already, once if you have been allowed compounding earlier, second time compounding will not be given. You did the offense once, you were sent to jail, now you have done again. They are telling second time. Okay, sorry. You did the offense one, you are about to be sent to jail, you paid money and they left you. Second time, no compounding. They are telling, sir, a person who has been allowed to compound once with respect to an offense under 132(1)(a) to L, second time compounding will not be given. One time compounding will be given, second time no. A person who has been accused of committing an offense under 132(1)(b), people, bogus invoice, not even once compounding. 132(1)(b), see, they specifically wrote 132(1)(b) के लिए no compounding, not even once. Bogus invoice के लिए no compounding. A person who have been convicted for an offense under this act by the court went ahead and told take him to jail, 5-year jail. Court gave the sentence. You are telling, hey court, I will pay money and we will be left. If you are convicted, then Baba, nothing can be done. Next, any other class of person or offenses as may be prescribed. If government wants, government can prescribe any other offense. For that also compounding will be allowed. Everyone over here now. Sir, what will be the compounding fees? What will be the compounding fees? How much do I have to pay? How much do I have to pay to not go to jail? See, if your offenses are under 132(1)(a), C, D, E, why B is deleted? There is no compounding only. So 132(a), supplying without invoice. Invoice without supply. 1 minute. 132(a) is what, everyone? Supplying without invoice. B is bogus invoice. Correct? No compounding only. C was what? ITC on the basis of bogus invoice. D was what? Collect tax but does not pay to the government. Next one was over here. You have to remember this. If you evade tax or fraudulently obtain a refund, then remember in these cases when you are about to send to the jail, is the amount more than 5 crore or 2 crore to 5 crore? Only these two cases may you can be sent to jail. Yes or no? They are telling up to 75% of the amount involved, maximum, and minimum will be what? 50% of the amount of tax. Basically 50% of the amount involved. Sir, if you have gone ahead and done an offense which is more than 2 crore up to 5 crore, then 60% and minimum will be 40. Next, all other cases I'll tell you. An offense specified under 132(1)(f), H, I, or if anyone has gone ahead and attempted to do it or abates the commissioning of the offense, always remember 25%, 25%, 25% and 25%. There is nothing, it is only 25%. But one point which a student should remember very well, bogus invoice, there is no compounding. And bogus invoice ka case mein, even if the amount is more than 1 crore, you will be sent to jail. Everyone listen. You know what? When we are learning the offenses and penalties ka chapter, offenses and penalties ka chapter is the chapter which you need when you are doing ethics ka. Ethics ka chapter mein there are 4 case studies which are given by the ICI. Today when you go home, see those 4 case studies which are given for ethics. If you know offenses and penalties ka chapter, you will be able to do ethics ka chapter. Students tell me, sir, ethics ka there is no chart. Baba, ethics is in the heart. Ethics can't be in the chart. Ethics means you have to maintain the ethics yourself. You should not go ahead and do all this wrong thing. What is the ethics ka chapter? A chartered accountant should not do all these things. If you do wrong thing, what will happen? Penalty. So this chapter only will help you. Are we clear, everyone? Next. Now, when you are doing the ethics ka chapter, you will need this circular also. Let's go ahead and do this circular. Everyone over here now. Circular. Various issues relating to applicability of demand and penalty in respect of transaction involving fake invoice. People were issuing bogus invoice, and bogus invoice related some queries were being raised and government clarified it. Everyone over here, listen, very important from exam point of view. Listen carefully. Issue. A registered person A has issued tax invoice to another registered person B without supply. People, this is A. A went ahead and did what, everyone? This is B over here. What did A do? A went ahead and supplied invoice. Did he supply? No. He did not supply. He gave a bogus invoice. Next. He is also a registered person. He is also a registered person. People, now what they are telling. State the penal consequence of A. People, 1 minute. You have issued invoice without supply. Bogus invoice ka case. First of all, penalty will come. Section number 122. Are here. Issuing invoice without supply, penalty will be 10,000 or 10% of the tax, whichever is higher. Now, B went ahead and took the ITC without actually receiving the goods. So B pay also penalty will come 10,000 or tax amount, whichever is higher. So everyone see here. Fake invoice without supplying does not amount to supply. No demand and recovery can be done under 73 and 74. 73 and 74 comes when? When there is a supply, because after the supply, you did not pay the tax short paid, tax not paid, ITC wrongly availed or utilized because of a supply. So 73 and 74 cannot come. Can I go ahead, everyone? Next. But A shall be liable for a penalty under section number 122 for issuing fake invoice. And they are telling penalty will be 10%, 10,000 or the ITC passed on. So A pay, what will be the penalty? They have asked only for A. What will be the A pay penalty? 10,000 or the tax amount, whichever is higher. Section number, will section number 73 and 74 ka demand order come? No. Because 73 and 74 comes only when there is a supply. No supply, 73 and 74 cannot come. But for the bogus invoice, you will be penalized under section number 122. Can I tell you one thing, everyone? This person can also go to jail under section number 132 for bogus invoice. If the amount is more than 1 crore. Everyone over here now. The next is issue. Registered person A has issued another registered person B ko one invoice without supplying. B has further issued an invoice along with the under the supply to his buyer and utilizes the ITC on the basis of A's invoice for the payment of the liability. What B did know? B went and actually did a supply. People here. ITC availed on the basis of bogus invoice. Okay, everyone? And then he used the ITC to pay the tax on the supply. Output tax liability ke liye he used it. And then he went and supplied to whom? C. My question over here is, did you do the supply? Yes. So it says whether B will be liable for demand and recovery or the provision of or any other provision of the act. People tell me one thing. Has B actually done a supply? So B will be liable for penalty under section number 73 and 74. They are telling B has contravened the provision of section number 16 to B, ITC taken without receipt of goods. Section number 16, do you remember? TR condition. TR condition. R was what? You should have received the goods, services or both. You did not receive the goods. So they are telling he shall be liable for demand and recovery of the ITC and penalty under section number 74. So people, if you have done a supply, For that supply, you will be liable for penalty under section number 74. So 74 ka demand order will come and then only they will go ahead and charge you penalty. So section number 122 will not come. If there is a supply, then always section number 73 and 74. If there is no supply, then always remember you will be penalized under section number 122. The next one over here, it says no penalty under any other section. A has issued a tax invoice to another person B without supply and avails the ITC and further passes on the ITC. B avails the ITC and further passes on the ITC to another person without any supply. People, same question. 1 minute. Everyone here. Now there is no supply. Okay? He went ahead and took the ITC and he also did not do any supply. He gave a bogus invoice. Will 73 and 74 ka proceeding come is my question. Louder. No. So they are going ahead and telling state the penal consequence on A and B. Everyone here. Against A, since no supply, no demand and recovery, but penalty under 122 will come, that is 10%, 10,000 or the tax amount whichever is higher. B pay what will happen? Against B, no demand and recovery under 73 and 74. Penalty under 122 will come for issuing invoice without supply. First of all, did he issue bogus invoice? Invoice without supply. So here 122 ka penalty, 10,000 or the tax amount whichever is. Plus here, because you took ITC, see here, penalty of 10% or 10,000 whichever is higher plus 122 ka again penalty will come for taking the ITC without receipt which is 10,000 or ITC availed whichever is higher. So for this also 10,000 or the ITC which you have taken whichever is higher. First tell me one thing. I supplied you the goods. I did not supply the goods. I just gave you a bogus invoice. For me, penalty will be 122, 10,000 or the tax amount whichever is higher. You went ahead and took the ITC. You used it for actual supply. Then on you the penalty will be under section number 74, no 122. But I went ahead and passed on the goods to you without supply, bogus invoice I gave. For me 122. You did not go ahead and supply. You also issued bogus invoice. Then 122 on you, 122 first for taking the ITC, second for passing on the ITC. 10% or 10,000 whichever is higher, 10% or 10,000 whichever is higher. 2 times 122 will be applicable on you. Okay, I'll ask you one thing. You tell me. Here, you know what happened? C went ahead and took the ITC. Okay? C went ahead and took the ITC. C went ahead and supplied it to D. And C actually did supply. For actual supply, the ITC which was taken was utilized. My question over here, which provision will be applicable on 74? And penalty will be charged under section number 74. Is my point clear to all? Everyone over here, listen. Today, if you go home and read your ethics ka chapter, people, offences and penalties ka chapter ke saath only the ethics ka chapter gets over. Why, sir? Because ethics ka chapter is nothing other than the point that a chartered accountant should be ethical. He should not go ahead and do wrong things. If you go ahead and do wrong things, penalty will come. And you will also be sent to jail. And that is why we have gone ahead and learned offences and penalties ka chapter. Is my point clear to all? Everyone over here, I'll go ahead. Listen. A graded chapter. 6 mark is the minimum I feel. I feel if they want, they can ask you a 2 mark MCQ also. In this, sir, can you tell me which are the section most important? See, first I'll tell you the A graded ones. Section number 129 is A graded section. Section number 138 is A graded. Section number 132 is A graded. And this circular which I told, no, this is A graded. These 4 things are A graded. Other than that, don't leave anything in this chart. Other than that, also anything question can come. This chart, I've gone ahead and made it with a thought that everything is important in this chart. I've not incorporated anything which is useless. Right, everyone? I'll do one thing. I'll close my revision on the chapter of offences and penalties.